The world of music has always been filled with secrets, and some of the most surprising ones are about the hidden love lives of our favorite stars. Throughout history, many talented women in music had to hide their true selves, keeping their sexuality under wraps because of societal pressures, revealing it only subtly through their lyrics or much later in life. But today, we're peeling back the layers to reveal the stories that will leave you speechless. These are not just names from the past. These are icons who shaped music while living in the shadows. Join us as we uncover the top 10 lesbian closet cases in music history. Bessie Smith, known as the Empress of the Blues, Bessie Smith was one of the highest-paid black entertainers of her time. Born in 1894, Bessie's deep, soulful voice earned her a reputation that transcended racial boundaries. Over her career, she recorded 160 songs, many alongside legendary jazz musicians like Louis Armstrong and Benny Goodman. Her music left such an impact that 3 of her recordings were later inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame, and in 1989 she was posthumously awarded a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. Despite her marriage, Bessie was known to have had numerous affairs with women. One of her lovers was Lillian Simpson, a chorus girl. There are also rumors that Bessie had a romantic relationship with fellow blues singer Ma Rainey. Both women sang about love and desire in ways that were considered provocative for their time. In Bessie's song It's Dirty But Good, 1930, she used explicit innuendo, hinting at same-sex desires. Although Bessie never publicly discussed her sexuality, her music often spoke for her, using veiled references to her lovers and life. Bessie's larger-than-life personality and boundary-pushing songs made her a powerful figure during the Harlem Renaissance. Her private life, though, was something she kept mostly in the shadows, as was common for queer individuals at the time. Tragically, Bessie passed away on September 26, 1937, at the age of 43, following a car accident in Mississippi. She succumbed to severe injuries after being denied timely medical care due to racial discrimination. Even today, her legacy as a musical pioneer and a queer icon lives on. Alberta Hunter. Alberta Hunter's career as a blues singer and songwriter spanned 4 decades, and her influence stretched across the United States and Europe. Born in 1895, Alberta began her singing career in a less-than-glamorous setting, a seedy brothel run by a notorious gangster. But her incredible voice quickly catapulted her to fame. Soon she was billed as the sweetheart of Dreamland Cafe, where she performed alongside jazz greats like Louis Armstrong. In 1923, Alberta made history by becoming the first African-American singer to be backed by a white band. Alberta's personal life, much like Bessie Smith's, was filled with secrets. In 1919, she entered into a lavender marriage, a union designed to hide her true sexual orientation. She divorced in 1923, claiming that she didn't want to consummate the marriage because she lived with her mother. After the split, Alberta sailed to France in the company of Lottie Tyler, the niece of comedian Bert Williams. Lottie would go on to be Alberta's life partner for many years. Although Alberta kept her sexuality private, there was little doubt about her relationships with women. She wasn't fond of public displays of affection, especially in a time when being openly queer was extremely risky. Despite this, her talent and resilience earned her a place in the Blues Hall of Fame in 2011. Alberta may have kept her love life out of the public eye, but her contributions to music and her quiet defiance of societal norms left an undeniable mark on history. Josephine Baker. Josephine Baker, often referred to as Black Venus or the Black Pearl, was one of the most iconic African-American entertainers of the 20th century. Born in 1906, she found fame in Europe, particularly in France, where she became a symbol of the jazz age. Her stunning performances on stage, often in daring costumes like her famous banana skirt, made her the toast of Paris. She quickly became a household name and a symbol of the Roaring Twenties. In fact, she was even billed as the highest-paid chorus girl in vaudeville, a title that launched her international career. After starting out in the United States, Josephine's big break came when she toured Paris, where she was instantly embraced by the public. She eventually became the first black woman to star in a major motion picture with Siren of the Tropics, 1927, solidifying her legacy as an international superstar. Despite her 4 marriages, Josephine was also known for her many lesbian affairs. Her co-author and adopted son, Jean-Claude Baker, detailed these relationships in his biography, Josephine, the Hungry Heart. Among her lovers were prominent women like Bessie Allison, who became the first African-American woman to hold a seat in the New York State Legislature, as well as Clara Smith, also known as the Queen of the Moaners. But her love life wasn't limited to America. After relocating to Paris, she also had relationships with jazz singer Ada Bricktop Smith and the French writer Colette. Perhaps the most famous of her lovers was Mexican artist Frida Kahlo, whom Josephine met during Kahlo's trip to Paris in 1939. The relationship was especially notable because Kahlo was traveling with her husband, Diego Rivera, at the time, adding an element of tension to their romance. Josephine's remarkable life didn't end with her performances. When World War II broke out and Paris fell under Nazi occupation, she was recruited by the French resistance. Using her celebrity status, she was able to gather critical intelligence from high-ranking Nazi officials who were charmed by her, completely unaware of her double life. She took huge risks, traveling across Nazi-occupied Europe, neutral Portugal, and even South America, passing on secret messages written in invisible ink on her music sheets. Not only was Josephine a spy, but she also harbored fugitives in her home, helping them evade capture by providing them with forged documents. For her heroic efforts, Josephine was awarded the Croix de Guerre and the prestigious title of Chevalier of the Légion d'honneur by Charles de Gaulle. After the war, she returned to Paris in 1944 to a hero's welcome, greeted by throngs of people on the Champs-Élysées. Josephine Baker died on April 12, 1975, at the age of 68, from a cerebral hemorrhage. She passed away just days after a triumphant performance in Paris, celebrating her 50 years in show business. Gladis Bentley. Gladis Bentley, born in 1907, was another African-American entertainer who made waves during her time. She was known for her bold and unapologetic performances in Harlem speakeasies during the Prohibition era. Unlike most female performers of her time, Gladys embraced her attraction to women and her masculine appearance, wearing men's clothing and performing in what was described as a masculine garb. At 16, Gladys left her hometown of Philadelphia and headed to Harlem, where she found her place among the other sexually fluid entertainers of the time. Harlem was a vibrant space during the Prohibition era, and police often turned a blind eye to the goings-on there. This allowed Gladys to perform without fear, and she quickly gained popularity. She landed a job at Harry Hansberry's Clam House, one of Harlem's most notorious gay speakeasies, where she wore a white full-dress shirt, stiff collars, bow ties, and short Eton jackets, creating a signature look. Her performances were anything but traditional. Gladys adapted popular songs of the time, adding her own filthy and risque lyrics, appealing to black, white, gay, and straight audiences alike. She was open about her sexuality, and even sang about bulldaggers and sissies, often making reference to her female lovers during performances and flirting with women in the audience. In one instance, Gladys claimed to have married a white woman, although it's unclear if this was true or just a publicity stunt. Unfortunately, by the 1950s, the environment in the U.S. became hostile for openly gay performers. Lesbians and gay men were considered a national menace and targeted in the anti-communist campaign known as McCarthyism. This time period, referred to as the Lavender Scare, saw many LGBTQ+ individuals lose their jobs or face harassment from the government. Perhaps in an effort to restart her career in this more conservative climate, Gladys published an article in Ebony magazine in 1952, claiming she had undergone medical treatment to cure her lesbianism and become a woman again. Given her previous boldness, this claim was met with skepticism, and it seems most likely that this was just another way to survive in a hostile world. Sadly, she died on January 18, 1960, from pneumonia at the age of 52. Her death came just a few years after attempting to restart her career in a more conservative era. Billie Holiday. Billie Holiday, known as Lady Day, is a name that echoes through music history. She was born on April 7, 1915 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She is one of the greatest jazz and swing singers of all time, often mentioned alongside legends like Ella Fitzgerald. Holiday's voice, full of emotion and depth, has won her multiple posthumous Grammy Awards, and many of her songs are now considered timeless classics. Among them is Strange Fruit, a haunting song about the lynching of black men in the South, which is one of the most powerful protest songs ever written. Holiday's career, which spanned 26 years, was remarkable. She recorded 38 singles and 12 studio albums, performing with some of the most famous musicians of her era, including the Count Basie Orchestra. Despite her incredible success, Billie endured extreme racism, especially when touring in the segregated South. While she performed with an all-white band led by Artie Shaw, one of the first black women to do so, she often faced insults and was refused service at restaurants and hotels because of her race. Speaking of which, Billie's life offstage was as complex as her career. She was quite open about her bisexuality, and she had several relationships with women. One of her most famous affairs was with actress Tallulah Bankhead, who she called Lady Peel. In addition, she was romantically involved with heiress Louise Crane. Billie Holiday passed away on July 17, 1959, at just 44 years old. She was in a New York hospital suffering from cirrhosis of the liver, while under arrest for drug possession even in her final days. It is said that even while serving time in prison for heroin possession, Billie continued to have relationships with women, further solidifying her place as one of the boldest and most defiant women of her time. Maxine Andrews. The iconic Andrews Sisters was a trio that sold over 100 million records and became one of the most successful groups of the swing and boogie-woogie eras. Maxine Andrews was part of the trio. The Andrews Sisters delivered hits like Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy and Don't Fence Me In, which they performed with Bing Crosby. During World War II, they were beloved for their tireless work entertaining Allied troops, performing for soldiers stationed in Africa, Italy, and beyond. Maxine's personal life, however, wasn't as public as her career. After marrying music publisher Lou Levy in 1941, the couple adopted 2 children. They divorced amicably 8 years later, but soon after, Maxine began a long-term relationship with a woman that lasted for 13 years. Her most well-known relationship was with Linda Wells, who started as her manager. Their relationship became a unique arrangement where Linda was not only Maxine's manager but also her adopted daughter and her lover. This unusual situation highlights how difficult it was for same-sex couples at the time, especially in matters like healthcare and inheritance. In a touching moment, Linda recalled how when Maxine had a heart attack in Chicago, the hospital staff assumed she was Maxine's daughter and asked her to make medical decisions. With no legal authority to do so, a friend took them to a lawyer, and soon after, Linda was officially adopted by Maxine. This legal bond, while unconventional, was one way they could ensure they could protect their rights and care for each other in a time when same-sex partnerships were not recognized. Marlene Dietrich. Marlene Dietrich was a German-American actress and singer who broke boundaries on and off the screen. She is often remembered for her role in the 1930 film Morocco, where she donned a tuxedo and gave one of the first on-screen lesbian kisses in cinematic history. Her performance in The Blue Angel made her an international star, and she quickly became one of the highest-paid actresses in Hollywood. Dietrich was more than just a movie star. She was a fashion icon and an unapologetic bisexual woman who frequented underground drag balls and queer revues in 1920s Berlin. Marlene was a key figure in Hollywood's hidden LGBTQ+ scene, which she referred to as the sewing circle. She had well-known affairs with women, including poet Mercedes de Acosta, and it is rumored that she had relationships with fellow actress Greta Garbo and singer Edith Piaf. Although she never openly declared her sexuality, her actions and relationships made her a beloved figure within the queer community. But Marlene was more than just a glamorous movie star. In the late 1930s, Nazi officials approached her while she was in London, offering her lucrative contracts to return to Germany and become the foremost actress of the Third Reich. Marlene, a strong anti-Nazi, refused and applied for U.S. citizenship instead. She went even further, dedicating her wealth and influence to support Jewish refugees and dissidents escaping Nazi Germany. She put her entire salary from the film Night Without Armor into a fund to help these refugees and even opened her home to those fleeing persecution. When the U.S. entered World War II, Marlene became one of the first stars to sell war bonds and entertain Allied troops in Europe. She traveled with General Patton and performed shows to boost soldiers' morale in Italy, France, and even Germany. Her courage and dedication didn't go unnoticed, and she was awarded both the Medal of Freedom by the U.S. government and the Légion d'honneur by France for her contributions to the war effort. Marlene Dietrich's story is one of resilience, bravery, and an unapologetic embrace of her identity. Her legacy as both an LGBTQ+ icon and a war hero continues to inspire to this day. Gwen Farrar. Gwen Farrar made a name for herself in post-World War I England as part of a beloved female double act with Nora Blaney. Their duets, full of innuendo, were a massive hit on the vaudeville and revue circuit. Nora played the female role, while Gwen often took the male part. Their performances were so popular that they became household names, appearing in West End shows, music halls, on the radio, and even in early British films like Beloved Imposter, 1936. Beyond her professional career, Gwen was part of London's Bright Young Things crowd, known for wild parties. At one such gathering in 1937, tragedy struck when Ruth Baldwin, a socialite and former lover of motorboat racer Joe Carstairs, died of a heroin overdose while the group listened to a boxing match on the radio. Gwen herself was romantically linked to several women, including Joe Carstairs, who named her first boat after Gwen, and the glamorous actress Tallulah Bankhead. Gwen's personal life has long been speculated about, particularly her close relationship with Blaney, which some believe was romantic until Nora married. Leslie Gore. Leslie Gore was just 16 when she burst onto the music scene with her smash hit, It's My Party. This teen anthem became a defining song for her generation. But Leslie wasn't just a one-hit wonder. Her powerful follow-up hits like You Don't Own Me made her an enduring pop star. She also worked behind the scenes in the music world, writing songs with her brother Michael Gore for the movie Fame, 1980. Their work was so well received that Leslie earned an Oscar nomination for Out Here on My Own. What many people didn't know at the time was that Leslie discovered she was gay at the age of 20. In 2005, she publicly came out as a lesbian in an interview with After Ellen, revealing that she had been in a relationship with jewelry designer Lois Sasson since 1982. The two shared 33 years together until Leslie's death, a testament to their deep bond. In 2004, Leslie also became a vocal advocate for LGBTQ+ rights, hosting the PBS series In the Life, which focused on LGBT issues. Tracy Chapman. Tracy Chapman is one of those rare celebrities who has managed to keep her personal life largely out of the spotlight. Born on March 30, 1964, in Cleveland, Ohio, she grew up in a household where music played a huge role. Her mother, recognizing her love for music, bought her a ukulele when she was just 3 years old. By the age of 8, Tracy was already playing guitar and writing her own songs. Growing up, my house was filled with all kinds of music, she once said, recalling her parents' collection of R&B, jazz, and gospel records. Despite her modest beginnings, Tracy's academic brilliance earned her scholarships that took her far from home. First, she attended a private boarding school in Connecticut at 16, and later, she received a full scholarship to Tufts University. Initially, her plan was to become a veterinarian, but during her time in college, her passion for music took over. She began busking in Harvard Square and performing in coffee houses around Cambridge, eventually landing a record deal with Elektra Records at the age of 22. Her self-titled debut album, released in 1988, was an instant success. With powerful songs like Fast Car, she quickly became a household name. Fast Car went on to become one of the greatest songs of all time, according to Rolling Stone magazine. That same year, she performed at Nelson Mandela's 70th birthday tribute, an experience she described as deeply humbling. Tracy said, "I could tell they were listening. It was a deeply humbling experience that I will never forget." Though she reached massive success with several Grammy wins and top 10 hits like Give Me One Reason, Tracy has always maintained an incredibly private personal life. In the mid-1990s, it was revealed that she had a romantic relationship with author Alice Walker, but this only became public after their relationship had ended. When asked about her sexuality, Tracy's response was simple: "Does it really matter?" It's clear she prefers to let her music do the talking while keeping her private life just that, private. Did any of these revelations about their personal lives surprise you, or were you already aware of their hidden stories? Share your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe for more shocking stories.